Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of Top Jobs in India, which is a hiring week initiative to help people find jobs, brought to you by Indeed and People Matters. I'm Ranjana Pillai from Indeed, India. For those of you who may not know about Indeed, we are the world's #1 job site with over 25 crore monthly visitors globally who are all on Indeed to find their next big opportunity. So if you haven't checked Indeed out yet, I urge you to go visit Indeed.com to help you find your next job. Now, in a year like 2020, which has been really challenging, we've only heard news and stories about, uncertainty, unpredictability, and we wanted to change that. We wanted to change the narrative. So we got together with some of the top companies in India in a bid to have, a more positive impact by showcasing some of the opportunities and roles that are available right now with these companies to help people find jobs. And not just that, we wanted to take it one step further and provide a first-hand view of what it would be like to work for these companies. So this is how Hiring Week came about. And I think this is so important right now, given the fact that we're all working remotely and we don't get that opportunity to engage with companies directly. So with that, it is my pleasure to welcome our guest today, Vinita Ferraro, who is the India Talent Acquisition Lead at GSK. Thank you, Vinita, for taking time out to join us today. I'm really excited to pick your brain to help our viewers today understand GSK a little better. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ranjana. Thanks to the lovely audience we have. And it is indeed a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. So let me also give you all a quick overview of GSK. Now, we've probably heard of GSK over the last couple of months, in the background of the pandemic. But nevertheless, GSK has about 5,000 plus employees in India. It's headquartered in Mumbai with 7 regional and sales hubs across the country. GSK is ranked #1 among multinational pharmaceutical companies and #3 in the India pharmaceutical sector. So to all of our viewers who are watching us today, if you have any specific questions about GSK, please post your questions in the comments section. And if you're watching this episode on Facebook or on YouTube channels, you could also post your questions in the comments section. So during the course of the session, we'll try and answer as many of them as possible. So definitely, please keep them coming. So, all right. So, Vinita, let's move on to the question. So, my first question to you would be to help us sort of understand, given this climate that we're in, where we don't get to, interact and candidates can't come into your offices to see what work culture is like. It'd be great if you could explain to us what is the work culture at GSK and what makes it a fun place to work.
Okay. So, since all of you can come into our offices today, let me give you a dipstick. Yeah. So our offices are modern. I would say state of the art, and the culture is also modern in its intrinsic essence. Yeah. So we call ourselves a modern employer, and in addition to that, it's not just being a modern employer, but modern in your processes, in your thinking, in your behavior. Yeah, so you will have, in terms of the GSK work environment, you will have a culture that really challenges the status quo. Finding out innovative and creative ways to actually be better than the best in whatever you do. It is very entrepreneurial, in its DNA. So, it is an open door, definitely. And, you are managing your responsibility and your day-to-day roles with complete accountability on it from the end-to-end perspective. So I think to sum it up, our culture is a fast forward kind of a culture where innovation, creativity thrives. And of course, along with that, we try to stay relevant in a fast changing world.
That's great to know. So now that we've got a little bit of an insight into what GSK is like, working at GSK is like, I wanted to ask you another question, Vinita. So it's primarily to do with, the state of employment, and which is being talked about, a lot in the news, about unemployment and, those growing numbers. So how do you foresee the overall job market in India shaping up in the next 6 to 9 months, specifically in your industry, in pharma?
Yeah, so I know the current events have really kind of made a big change in our landscape, right? According to me, Ranjana, I think the the companies that are currently in India, that have been in India for some time, will tend to move towards right sizing. Yeah. And like I said, staying relevant today, right? So on your cost parameters, on your top line, bottom line, what makes trends, so revisiting strategies around that, and right sizing wherever needed. I would say in terms of companies, that global companies which have not yet come into India, there you have the huge opportunity, because India will be the emerging opportunity in a scenario like this.
All right. Okay. So, so when we're talking about jobs, and I'm sure now all of our viewers have got their ears perked up, so they want to know what are the major roles that you are hiring for right now, or planning to hire for in 6 to 9 months. I know this is difficult to sort of talk about hiring volumes, but perhaps you could give us some sort of insight.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to say that GSK, with its legacy of close to 96 years in India, providing patient care with our very innovative products like Augmentin, which is uh, a very famous antibiotic. A product like Calpol, which is in every house today for fever, with our vaccine portfolio like Cervarix, which treats cervical cancer in women, or rather, which is a vaccine that is used for cervical cancer. With the legacy that we have, I'm so proud to say that GSK is further enhancing its approach and investment in India. And today we have recently launched the Global Capability Center for GSK, which is in Bangalore. The Global Capability Center is primarily established to, kind of house the global support functions. By that I mean roles in technology, R&D, human resources, and if we're talking about some kind of positions, they could be in the area of master data management, project management, etc. So these roles, primarily being in the Global Capability Center, will support global markets for GSK. So one of the reasons I am here is to introduce you to this latest development, and for you to find your opportunity in the Global Capability Center in GSK Bangalore.
Great. I'm sure that's great news, and I'm sure everyone's excited about the opportunities that it presents. So, keeping in line with what you mentioned about the Global Capability Center in Bangalore, are you looking to hire specifically in Bangalore, or do you have specific locations that you're looking at, given the fact that most companies are now working remotely or looking at sort of a hybrid workforce? Is GSK also planning roles that might be remote work? So could you give us a little bit of an idea about your long-term workforce strategy?
Of course. So, as you were aware, GSK Pharma is headquartered in Mumbai. So, on our commercial front, we would have some opportunities there, the right kind of opportunities coming up. But where the huge opportunity lies is in this location in Bangalore, where we are planning to establish the center. Having said that, of course, the pandemic has changed the entire landscape for everyone, right? Beyond physical office locations. So we are not closed to remote working possibilities. However, let me say, I at this point of time, or when we reach the normal working conditions, we may not apply a broad brush across. I think remote working could be more specific, basis the nature of the roles and subject to manager discretion.
All right. Okay. So the next question I have is sort of from, came out of sort of a personal experience for me as well. So I joined Indeed a couple of months ago, and when I started my, interview process and looking for a job early this year, specifically in March is when, the whole country went into lockdown. Almost overnight, you started seeing companies sort of pivot to, to deal with this sort of new normal, as we would call it. All the interview in-person hiring experience completely shifted to being virtual. So I was wondering, 8 months later, most companies are doing this, pretty effortlessly. So I was wondering, what would be sort of what are the changes that have come about, the assessment or the interview processes for candidates who are applying to GSK during this pandemic?
Yeah. So, Ranjana, I think one of the positives in the pandemic is that it has fast forwarded all of us on our technology initiatives, right? So, today, almost all our interviews happen virtually. In fact, early this year, I recollect that a lot of us were wondering whether our campus hiring would happen as in the years of the past. And one of the pieces that we held strongly was that we will continue because we did not want students to be disturbed and have that kind of tension and worry. And to that effect, I'm so happy to say that we went ahead with our plan. We did the process virtually. We did our assessments virtually. The power of technology today, I think there was always that potential, but all of us hesitated, right? And today the proof lies all around us. So, we did our assessments, and I one of the fundamental reasons why we thought we should continue with the campus the way it was, is for students to work in real life situations like these. Yeah, so your environment tomorrow is going to have all these kind of situations and market dynamics coming up, whether it is demonetization, whether it is the pandemic, and students get out of your controlled, campuses, and these are the live and real situations in the
Yeah.
practical world. So go ahead and immerse yourself in this learning. So this is one learning I think that they should definitely have experience, which is why we said we're not stalling, we're not delaying, we're going as usual. And I think technology, the response, the agility that we had to be technologically savvy in these times was tremendous. So thanks to all our all our IT teams that normally work behind the scenes. And that's where it comes to campus, right? When it comes to our hiring, and that's what we're doing for our global capability center. So we have almost all interviews virtually. We have had assessments, technical assessments like HackerRank. We have had interviews happening remotely via HireView, and the onboarding process, right up to the onboarding process, making the laptop available to the candidate at their home. All that is covered end to end, very very seamlessly. So that's how we have responded to this.
Great. And it's good to know, right? Like it's not just about, say, an interview process or the hiring process, but sort of seeing that entire gamut, that entire life cycle through, till onboarding as well.
Yeah, and I
Um,
must say, Ranjana, in such a scenario, the personal connect, you need to take it a little a notch higher there, right? So
yeah.
the amount of times we get in touch with the candidate, just to stay close to the candidate, after I guess after offer acceptance, we also ensure that the hiring manager, whether in India or globally, is doing a welcome call with the candidate, and we have a welcome kit also going to the candidate during the pre-joining period. So we're really trying to ensure that this virtual chasm is bridged.
That's good to know. That's really good to know. So, Vinita, let's say I was to apply for a job at GSK. What would be the expectations from me in terms of, skill sets or maybe work experience? So I know now, obviously it's there's a difference for different, different roles, and you have different skill sets required. But just as an overview, what are specific, skills that you're looking at, or qualifications that you're looking at from your candidates?
Sure, sure. So, just to give you a sense, because our global capability center is going to have a large amount of roles primarily in tech, of course, other support functions as well. But let me take tech for example. So, in technology, we're looking at emerging technology skills. Yeah. So, people who have deep technical expertise in these emerging technologies, whether it is Azure, whether it is Scrum, whether it is data engineering, Power BI, those are so in any of our functions, we look for deep technical expertise. Yeah. And besides that, we also look at the other skills that well round a professional, right? So things like stakeholder management, your change agility, like I said, a person who innovates and creates. So also from taking the processes to the next level. Yeah, so bringing around those creativity, dealing in ambiguity. Our environment is so ambiguous, so how do you manage in ambiguity? um, I would say also multitasking. Today you don't have the privilege of just doing one thing. You really have to multitask across. So I think, besides the obvious, which is communication, stature, gravitas, in the roles as you go higher up the order, all these other technical skills and the soft skills are needed.
I think you've echoed a lot, of the sentiments of many talent acquisition leaders across, different organizations who've always said that now more than ever, you need, self-motivated individuals, because it is a challenge, working remotely, but you need that, you need people who can kind of, give themselves direction, and also, remain productive and have great output as well. Um, the next question I have is, are there any sort of easy tips for candidates that you would suggest that could potentially help them stand out in an interview with GSK?
Sure. And I'm very, very convinced about this one, especially in today's day and age. So, number one, be passionate about what you do. Yeah. If you are passionate about what you do, it will show not only during your 1 hour interview, but in your day to day working as well, right? So you will have the most complexity, you will have the most transformation situation that you are put into. But if you have your passion for what you do, you can sail through all of this. Yeah. So that's one piece. In terms of tips, I'll give you something that's a little rare, unique. What I would suggest is whenever applicants apply for a job, today more than ever, it's very important to identify your unique value proposition. Yeah. So please understand. So what happens is when you are a candidate who is looking at a job, you say, oh, I like that job, I'm interested in it, I think I can deliver, the responsibilities are similar to what I need. So it is you and the job. That's your perspective, right? But my recommendation is always realize that today you are not the only person going to apply for that job, right? There's going to be a comparative population. There will be other candidates who may be equally or more qualified for the job, right? So look at that, look at the job from that lens as well, right? And when you're applying for the job, identify your unique value proposition. Okay. So, what are those pieces that are unique in you that most others will not have, right? So, I'll give you an example. In talent acquisition, for example, you will find Mr. Interviewer, you will find, or Miss Interviewer, you will find most talent acquisition professionals who are like this, okay? They have their TA metrics, they have their sourcing skills, etc., right? But what is unique in my profile is that I have a good dimension in branding, right? So these are the future forward requisites in a talent acquisition function. Branding, a huge, huge, huge impetus in direct sourcing. Yeah. And the third skill I bring to the table is data and analytics, right? So today, a lot of our decisions are data driven decisions, and this is what I bring to the table. The fourth thing is, you know what? If you hire me, you will get a whole lot of transformation experience that I will bring with me, right? So technology transformation is happening in every sphere. So in this way, you're actually telling the interviewer, yeah, you may see a lot of people like me, but if you hire me, this is what you get, right? So always identify your unique value proposition.
That's really interesting, and I think that's definitely food for thought. I don't think most people try to fit themselves into a role or a job description, and I think it's great if you can take a step back and see what is unique about you that you can bring to that
Correct.
organization or role. Yeah.
Correct. So, if Ranjana, if you want to apply to the job, you can apply the traditional way. But
Yes.
if you want to be selected for the job, then if you do this comparative or competitive positioning, you will definitely have high chances of selection.
Right, right. And so, Vinita, I'll just move on to my final question. We've got some really exciting viewer questions coming up as well. So, my final question to you is, and this is a little bit of a challenging one. So, if you had to call out three things on why a candidate should join GSK, what would they be?
Oh, so yeah, you've got to pull the stopper for me on this one, right, Ranjana? So, I would say one of the compelling reasons why someone should join GSK is patient focus. The kind of patient focus that is embedded in everything we do, right from our objectives and strategy to our execution. If you want a job, you'll get a job. You can get a job anywhere. But if you want a job with a purpose, with the higher purpose in mind, then GSK is your place. Yeah. This the other thing is, what I found unique in GSK is in its culture, which is of course learning and growth, modern employer, DNI, health and wellness. There is also this element which I know millennials will be very cued on, the concept of instant gratification that really drives them. So in GSK, we have instant recognitions, which don't have to wait till the end of the year. We have the global recognitions, which are bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and these are instant e-cards or even cash recognitions, where on I mean, you do something good, it need not be your manager, it may be your peer, it may be a stakeholder. You come into your day and you open your email and you see a global recognition. It really, really, is so special and unique, that it makes you feel really special and unique. And I've seen this really at play in GSK, in a sense. Yeah, and our company is based on IPTC, which is Innovation, Performance, and Trust, at Race to C, and C is culture. So that is the basis of our organization. Of course, being a future forward organization, to give you an example, our some we've already embarked, and our jobs today are not stayed JDs. They are
Yeah.
also in a video form, and all these small things that matter much. And like I said, Ranjana, I can go on and on, and give you more than three reasons, but hope you guys got the gist.
Yeah, I know that was a challenging one, but I think really some really valuable standout things there, like the instant recognition, and of course you mentioned a lot of aspects of the culture and innovation as well. So with that, we are now open to Q&A. So to all of our viewers, if you have any questions for Vinita and you want to know more about GSK, please put your questions into the comment section and we'll take them up as they come in. So I think I'll move on to the first question that we've got. I think there was a question regarding, what does a career trajectory look like for someone joining GSK? What's the growth like, etc.
Okay, good question. So thanks for that question. And today, the career trajectory in GSK or in most organizations is not linear. So it is not your horizontal, or sorry, your vertical trajectory there, right? Um, I think most organizations, including GSK today, GSK looks at careers also horizontally, not just vertically, right? So what do you need to do to get those that 360-degree experience for you to be a good leader tomorrow? So your career trajectory can be linear, it can be hierarchical, or it can also span horizontally. Ranjana, I've seen a lot of people in GSK who have gone up the ladder, they've become leaders, but because they at that point of time want a more horizontal experience, they actually stop the vertical route. They say, let me get the overall broader experience and then that will come later. Yeah, so it looks like you're taking a different approach right now, not the stereotype approach, but believe me, it just makes your future level so much more stronger within the organization. So hope I answered that question.
Yes, I think that was good. I just want to pause here to bring to the attention of our viewers that if you've been excited and eager to apply for suitable roles at GSK, you could do so by clicking through on the link that's given below. which is on the GSK Bangalore career page. So I'll move on to the next question that we got. There was a question about opportunities for biotechnology candidates. So you spoke about tech roles in the Bangalore Center. So what are the opportunities for biotech candidates in GSK?
Okay. Yeah, good question. Pharma company after all, right?
Yes.
Uh, yeah, so yeah, unlike most other pharma companies, let me spell it out more clearly to my audience here. GSK's R&D in India is not the basic R&D, right? So it is not your basic and process R&D. So of course, most companies have basic R&D globally, but there are some companies who have a lab here which does process R&D. GSK's R&D is not in that gamut in India. So our presence in R&D in India is not in process R&D. We don't work in labs, right?
Right.
What is our R&D about? Our R&D about is about your clinical phase, the processes involved in your clinical trials, clinical phase. So that is the uh, portion of R&D that is currently available in India, which would involve roles like biostatisticians, study monitors, your data, your medical writers, etc., medical writing. So these, just to clarify, I know it's this is a very very good question. Thank you, and I definitely want to take this opportunity to clarify that. So the roles that you will see here will not be process R&D roles, and for biotechnologists otherwise, if the biotechnologist wants to foray into non R&D stuff, into commercial areas, etc., maybe that could be a possibility because understanding pharma helps. But just to clarify, it's we don't have a process R&D here.
Got it. Okay. So there's a lot of applications of biotechnology, and I think you alluded to some of those being available as well. Can you talk about you mentioned, I think, as part of GSK's culture, you spoke about D&I being a big part of it. Is there any sort of renewed impetus, or has this always been practice? But what is the practice like for diversity hiring at GSK?
Yeah, so that is a part of it's completely embedded right from our hiring processes to our culture, Ranjana, and a lot of sensitivity around this piece. So in DNI, let me another thing for the me to be proud of is that we have gone beyond gender as an agenda, and we've gone and hired people from the LGBT area. We've hired people from the disability area. So I think there is a lot of room to take that to the next level. But I definitely think that we've made inroads in DNI, and we're here to stay on that topic.
Great, great. The next question is about upskilling, and I think this is particularly relevant for a lot of freshers wanting to know this answer. So they've asked about what are some of the specific upskilling programs that are being implemented by GSK to train freshers or maybe even the experienced folks.
Yeah, so we have a very strong learning platform within GSK, and learning at your disposal. Yeah. So the topics that you need, you have customized. So you get into a virtual learning platform and you put in what areas you are interested in developing, and whether it's soft skills or technical, the once you identify your need, the system will start introducing you to modules that are pertaining to that criteria. So it's very self-initiated. Let me say that. So it's not you can't expect the traditional learning mechanism in a company like GSK. It's very self-initiated, self-driven, and it is on the individual to own his or her learning.
Okay, great. So it's self-paced trainings as well. So that's good to know. I think the next question is something that's so relevant and spoken about nowadays, and it's around mental health and emotional well-being. So from that perspective, what is GSK doing for its employees, and how are you able to sort of effectively manage work-life balance for your employees?
Yeah, so I've been here in GSK for the last 1.5 years plus, and the amount of activities and activation that we do on our intranet and make this available for our people is tremendous. Yeah, so we have a program where we have a fitness program and trainers who offer us their training programs. And if you opt for it, GSK also does an equal contribution. Yeah, so you're paying for half of it, and all similar such accesses are available across GSK, Ranjana. So on mental health, there have been sessions, there are internal, external speakers that we introduce our employees to. Yeah, so to that effect, it is like a regular feature for us, and that's how we like to stay within pandemic, outside of pandemic, because I think work-life balance is really, really critical to GSK. The general tone among any manager, among any leader, any people manager is, yeah, if you're working stretched hours, ensure that you also take your time off. Nobody will push that back. And we ensure that time out is as critical, to bring you back rejuvenated into work.
Absolutely, I think very well put. Um, Another question, and I think this is again because of the pandemic and ensuing sort of reactions. But how open is GSK to hiring people with career gaps in their resume, and is that a factor in your assessment of resumes?
So we've been mulling over this, and of course, being open is one thing, but having a structure and a policy around that, is another, right? So we really like to go into it well informed and well structured rather than going into it half baked. So we'd like to have a policy that addresses um, returning employees to the workforce. So to that effect, Ranjana, I think the conversations have started.
Right.
And what we'd like to do is, go out into the market and say, yes, we are okay with this when we have our foundation ready for them. So the sooner we come out with a policy on this, we will definitely, be more bold about it. And we are not close to that fact. So I know there are people who have taken small breaks in their career who are absolutely employed by us. In a
Mhm.
policy, we will actually detail that out to the highest level if needed, saying what is the length of that break that we're open to. So we don't want to keep it ambiguous,
Right.
and that's what we aim to clarify.
All right. Okay. And I know you touched upon this briefly, earlier in the talk, but could you share a little bit about your plans for hiring freshers in the domain, in your domain, especially in the Global Capability Center as well?
Yeah, of course. Our young workforce, right? We definitely have you in our agenda and our plan. And we already have a management trainee program, which is the Future Leaders program, the Commercial Leaders program, the Pharma Supply Chain Leader program that we do in pharma per se. In the Global Capability Center, also we plan to have some roles that are available for early talent or freshers. So stay queued on to the site there, and you will see a lot of these coming up down the line.
Right. Okay. Interesting question coming in. So there's a question that says, "Hi, Vinita and Ranjana. Does GSK appreciate and welcome interested individuals based on caliber and not necessarily domain expertise or pedigree?"
Uh, so let me put it this way, right, Ranjana? Going back to my previous question, uh, your competitive positioning. So when you say caliber, and if I have someone else with caliber and domain expertise,
Right.
okay, and the niche skills that I need, you have the answer. I'm not answering it
Yeah.
for you. So whoever asked the question, I'm not answering it for you. Of course, caliber is the basis. So I know there are some leaders who hire for potential, and it's pretty much predominant in our organization. But what is the percentage, right? So that is where we try and arrive at a balance. So, would you say, you're hiring for potential when the person doesn't meet 20% of what you want, or 40% or 60%, right? So, I definitely think that there are quite a few roles that where candidates may not be plug and play, and I've actually experienced hiring that has happened, basis potential as well. Yeah, so that's where caliber will show up. But always remember the unique value propositioning.
I think that's very relevant because I think it's so subjective, right? Caliber, and it can vary based on who's interviewing you or what they're looking for. So there has to be something a little more stronger to kind of push you to the front of the line. And I think because there's a lot of similar questions about resume and standing out. So I was just wondering, what is it in your experience that you've seen are possibly some of the common mistakes that candidates make while applying to roles, which they should really avoid?
Mm, yeah, so in a resume, what I've normally seen is candidates just applying randomly. Sometimes they just see the title and they've sent their application, right? So you've got to see what the role entails, yeah, and really avoid sending generic resumes. So I know for us in our candidate world, I've been there, have seen that, right? You feel fastest finger first. No, it's
Yeah.
not that. Okay, take time out to match I mean, rather, I wouldn't say match, but at least do make an effort to see that what the job needs is talking to what your resume is revealing, right? So even if you have a generic profile, maybe have an opening paragraph that makes your resume relevant for this job, and highlight experiences in your profile that are relevant for the job.
Right.
Yeah, so avoid sending generic resumes, because please understand, audience, before you even get into the organization for an interview, it's your resume that comes in. So it's actually a very, very important document. Yeah, but I don't think we pay enough of time and attention to it. My second tip is don't, okay, for a person like me with 25 years plus of experience, how many pages should my resume run into? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
don't make your resumes too long.
Yeah.
Okay. Just, I mean, it doesn't have to be directly proportionate to your years of experience, yeah, your resume. So try, the more you are you are growing within the employment market, you're adding years of experience to your credit, the shorter your resume should become. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that looks like an anticlimax, but yes, that's how it should be. Because then the few statements that you put in your resume should have a lot of depth, which you will carry forward to explain in your interaction.
Great. Okay. So I think, Vinita, with that, we've come to the end of our Q&A session today. And I really hope that it's been invaluable to our viewers, as I've definitely picked up a lot of tips today as well. So I would, hand over to you for any sort of, final words of encouragement to our viewers who are listening in.
Yeah, so I know these are tough time, audience, and all our viewers out there. I would say, get deal with it positively. Yeah, take in case you don't have a job right now, upskill. Someone said upskill, right?
Yeah.
And I also have seen a lot of mentors in my life, a lot of my previous managers who have actually emulated this. So if there were any breaks in their career ever, they would go and upskill on some other areas. Follow your passion. So I know that at a lean time for me in my career, I actually had the opportunity to post YouTube videos and give a lot of insights to my candidates across, and to my network, which I would have never had the time for, if I was in a regular job. So I think make the best of your today. Um, and don't lose hope, because India is definitely dynamic as an employment market. And the you will have you'll have an entire breadth of solutions. You have to recalibrate your expectations, right? So recalibrate and respond to the situation, rather than just staying stuck on what your original intention was. You will need to be agile. We talk about change agility, right? So be agile where your careers are as well. And I just want to give hope to all job seekers. I definitely think there is always the right job for the right person at the right time. Yeah, so all the best to all of you.
Great. On that note, that's all the time we have for today. So we will be live again today at 4 p.m. with Hitachi ABB Power Grids India. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to tune in later. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye for now.